Live from WRAL News headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
Drinking as a defense. A man charged with killing his mother in a North Raleigh home is now claiming a defense we don't hear about often. How it works and the other surprises WRAL has learned could be in store during this trial next at noon.
Closed for adoptions, the medical condition that forced the Wake SPCA to temporarily close its doors to potential pet parents.
And save the date, the Catholic Church has set a date for the next conclave. What's happening in Rome to prepare for the selection? And a good Monday afternoon to you. I'm Jeff Hogan.
And I'm Renee Chu. Thanks for joining us. Jury selection is underway in the murder trial of Christopher McCullough. He is charged with beating his mother to death and injuring his father in North Raleigh in 2023.
And before court began this morning, WRAL learned quite a bit of new information about where this trial could go, what direction. WRAL's Chelsea Donovan has been following all along in this case. Joins us now outside the Justice Center with that new information on McCullough's defense.
Yeah, Jeff and Renee. So new court documents just filed shows that McCullough and his team plan to use a defense called voluntary intoxication. You don't hear about it that often. Basically, what it means is that this defendant claims that he was intoxicated. He had consumed alcohol during this heinous beating up in North Raleigh. And because of that, he was not able to form intent for this crime. Now, as you mentioned, jury selection actually just getting started right now after some pre-trial motions. McCullough is accused of beating his mom and dad in front of his 2-year-old child. His mother, Mary, later died from her injuries. Now McCullough could face the death penalty if convicted. We also obtained some court documents from 2022. We found that McCullough's father, John, took out a protective order against his own son, writing that McCullough had punched him several times, knocking me to the floor, and threatened to kill me and my wife. Now, the state does plan to call McCullough's 5-year-old daughter to the stand in this case. She would have been witness to this crime as he went to his parents' house to pick her up, and then an altercation ensued. Just got done speaking with the bailiff up inside the courtroom. They say jury selection is expected to last at least 2 to 3 days in this case. Live in downtown Raleigh, Chelsea Donovan, WRAL News.
And happening right now in the WRAL Live Center, the SPCA of Wake County is temporarily closing for a deep cleaning process after they say they had an outbreak of parvovirus. If you take a look at their website there on top in the green, it says they will be closed to the public starting April 27th, which was yesterday, through this Friday, May 2nd, for deep cleaning and sanitation procedures. They are still accepting online adoption surveys, and cat adoptions will resume on Wednesday. They say 2 puppies they received from a nearby county had the disease. They are currently being treated. No puppies have died, but the SPCA is encouraging all owners to help protect their animals and keep them safe. They say make sure they're up to date on their vaccinations, avoid any dog parks until puppies have the complete vaccinations, and also make sure you keep your dog's living areas clean as well.
Michelle, thanks. Former NBA player and head men's basketball coach at St. Augustine's University is suing the school. Court documents show the university cut Clarence Brown's position in December. The school slashed its staff in half late last year to reduce its expenses. It also discontinued the men's basketball program. Brown says the university ended his employment contract without cause and says they now owe him $23,000.
A person is in custody after a chase involving state troopers in Durham. State Highway Patrol says that chase started on I-885 about 3:40 this morning. Troopers used a pit maneuver to end the chase near T.W. Alexander Drive and South Miami Boulevard. The WRAL Breaking News Tracker was there as that car was towed away. No one was hurt. We're working to learn more about the charges the driver will face. Security has increased at Elizabeth City State University today because of a shooting on campus. Police say a man was killed and 6 others were hurt when this happened just after midnight Sunday morning. The university says the 24-year-old man who died was not a student. 4 other people were shot, including 3 students. We'll have more information about this shooting coming up in our next half hour.
A person was shot at a shopping center in Moore County. This happened last night around 10 in Aberdeen. Police say 3 male teenagers got into a fight. One of them was shot. That person was airlifted by helicopter to a trauma center. The chief says they do have a person of interest in this case.
You're going to want to get outside today if you can, if you haven't already. The more heat's coming right around the corner is going to make it a little more uncomfortable. But Elizabeth Gardner out there on the WRAL weather patio, a look at how quickly this pattern will change. Temperatures rose pretty quickly today. It's nice out now.
They did. Boy, we made it down to about 45 this morning in the Triangle, and now we're at 73. That's a huge warm up in a very short amount of time. We'll likely climb on up to almost 80 degrees this afternoon. But everything has started to change. Now, our dew point is still nice and dry. It feels great, very comfortable at 37, and that is a measure of moisture in the atmosphere. 60s in Roxborough and South Hill, 73, Goldsboro, 71 in Southern Pines, and around town again this afternoon. We're going to climb into the upper 70s to low 80s there in Fayetteville. We're going to see the muggy meter climbing, especially as we get into Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So it will start to feel more humid and the temperatures will continue to climb. So we're looking at upper 70s today, which is close to the normal of 76. And then we hit 90 Wednesday, 89 on Thursday. If we hit 90 on Wednesday, it will tie the record for that date. But we do have some rain in the forecast that may help to cool things down later in the week. I'll show you coming up.
New this noon, the last UNC student to be stripped of legal status earlier this month has had it restored. At least 10 students at universities in the Triangle were impacted without notice when the federal government revoked visas from many international students. UNC Chancellor Lee Roberts confirmed Friday that the other 5 of the 6 students affected at the college regained their status as well. The move does not restore revoked student visas needed to re-enter the U.S.
We now know the process, when the process of electing a new pope will begin. The Vatican has announced the conclave will start May 7th. The College of Cardinals gathered this morning for the first time since Pope Francis' funeral. Tens of thousands of people waited for hours in line yesterday for a chance to pay their respects at the tomb where Pope Francis was laid to rest. The Cardinals gathered there to pray as well. Now, as part of the selection process, the famous Sistine Chapel has been sealed off. That's where the Cardinals will gather. While this is the largest number of cardinals the church has had, rules stipulate only those younger than age 80 can vote for the next pope. Cardinals say they hope to have a selection within 2 to 3 days of gathering.
A medical breakthrough could help some cancer patients avoid surgery or radiation. It's an alternative treatment option that's showing promise. WRAL's Ken Smith spoke with a cancer doctor at UNC's oncology department this morning about this breakthrough. Ken, we're talking about immunotherapy.
You know, Renee, we are, and it's important to note right off the bat, this type of treatment only covers about 5% of cancer patients. That said, we're talking rectal cancer, stomach cancers, colon cancers, some esophagus cancers, prostate and uterine cancers. Now, what these 5% of cancer patients have in common is what's called a mismatch repair deficient mutation. This specific molecular breakdown allows these patients to be treated for 6 months of immunotherapy and avoid surgery and radiation.
Finally seeing new treatments that can cure people and give them lasting benefit without having to have a lot of long-term complications. I mean, I have people in my practice who I treated with immunotherapy on clinical trials, right before COVID struck. And those folks are cured of their cancer when they thought they had a terminal disease.
Yeah, Professor Sanov says for the people going through these clinical trials, there are some side effects that include inflammation of certain organs, an itchy red rash, or maybe fatigue. She says the next step is unlocking that code that could lead to immunotherapy treatment for people who don't have this specific molecular mutation, which really covers 95% of most cancer patients. So look for more reporting on immunotherapy to treat certain cancers coming up in a news starting at 4, and of course on WRAL.com.
Ken, thanks for that. Take a look at stocks this noon, and you see where the Dow Jones Industrial Average stands right now. Spent a lot of time this morning in positive territory. It is now down 136 points. S&P 500 is down 31. NASDAQ also down 116 at this hour. A new traffic pattern shift is now in effect on Falls of Noose Road. Just a few hours ago, Raleigh Water closed the right southbound lane near Wake Med North Hospital. A temporary lane shift will allow 2 lanes of southbound traffic to be maintained. The change is expected to be in place through Friday, May 9th.
UNC head football coach Bill Belichick's girlfriend shut down a question posed during a CBS interview. During an interview to promote his first book, the 73-year-old Belichick was asked how he met his girlfriend, Jordan Hudson, who is 24. Before he could answer, Hudson intervened. She said off camera from the producer's table, "We're not talking about this." NBC Sports reports she interjected more than once during that interview. The Carolina Hurricanes have an off day today as they hope to close out their first-round series against the New Jersey Devils in Game 5. The Canes took a 3-1 lead in the series with the win yesterday in Game 4 in New Jersey. They'll have a chance to put the series away tomorrow night back on home ice at Lenovo Center. The puck drops for Game 5 at 7:30. Seats are available on Ticketmaster starting at $77.
Next at noon, fire destroys a piece of history in Memphis. A historic church once visited by Martin Luther King Jr. burned down.
Also, nightclub takedown. The number of undocumented immigrants arrested at a Colorado bar.
Plus, taxing medicine. How tariffs could affect the cost of your prescription drugs.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.
Russian President Vladimir Putin has declared a 3-day ceasefire in Ukraine. The ceasefire will be held from May 8th to 11th. The dates coincide with World War II commemorations. Putin called on Ukraine to do the same. Russia has previously rejected a U.S. proposal for a 30-day ceasefire that was agreed to by the Ukrainian government.
It's election day in Canada. Canadians are headed to the polls to determine who will take the role of prime minister. Prime Minister Mark Carney just took over after Justin Trudeau stepped down last month. He is hoping to hold on to that position. How parties plan to deal with President Trump's tariffs is expected to play a large role in this election. Canadians don't directly vote for the prime minister, though. They vote for lawmakers in their respective areas. And then the leader of the party that ends up with the most lawmakers in parliament then becomes prime minister.
Vancouver's community is coming together to mourn the tragedy at a festival celebrating Filipino culture. 11 people are dead, dozens more injured after a vehicle drove into a crowd Saturday. Many gathered at Kensington Community Center yesterday to mourn those killed and those injured in the attack. They lit candles and placed flowers to honor the victims. Police have said they are confident it was not an act of terrorism. They also say the suspect is a 30-year-old Vancouver resident with a history of mental illness. He has been charged with 8 counts of second-degree murder. Officials in Florida are now calling a boat crash a, quote, mass casualty situation. 1 person is dead, others are hurt after a boat hit a ferry filled with people in Clearwater, Florida. This happened around 8:40 last night. Investigators say a boat crashed into the Clearwater ferry and left the scene. 45 people were on board the ferry. At least 6 people were hurt badly enough to be taken to area trauma centers. 2 were taken by helicopter.
Over 100 undocumented immigrants were detained at an underground nightclub in Colorado this weekend. The DEA shared this video as federal agents moved into that illegal nightclub Saturday. More than 200 people were inside, including about a dozen active duty military. At least 114 people there were in the country without proper paperwork, and they are now in ICE custody. Agents say it was part of a months-long drug and prostitution investigation. Fire has destroyed a piece of history in Memphis, Tennessee. The Claiborne Temple burned down early this morning. The church is known as the starting point of the 1968 sanitation strike, which drew Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. to Memphis before his assassination. The church was undergoing multi-million-dollar renovations. The cause of the fire is still under investigation.
Nearly 50 million Americans are on alert for severe weather today. A weather system could bring damaging hail and tornadoes to parts of the Midwest. That same storm system caused flash flooding in parts of Oklahoma over the weekend. Parts of the state saw up to 7 inches of rain. First responders used boats to help some people evacuate their homes. Nothing like that here, though. Just lots of sunshine today. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner with the significant warm-up today. Elizabeth.
It feels phenomenal out here. I feel like we've just had the most wonderful spring because I feel like every time I'm standing out here, it just feels wonderful. And we've definitely had some hot days, but goodness, nice low humidity right now. It's such a beautiful day yesterday. Saturday was maybe a little hot and humid, and we're definitely heading for that by Wednesday. We take a live look at the gardens behind me. We do have a few people wandering around. Definitely the azaleas have passed their peak, but there's still a few in bloom, and they take such good care of the gardens. There's always something blooming there. And if you didn't hear, here, we have a whole new section of gardens that's open with this really great bridge that makes for a really wonderful photo opportunity. So come on by anytime. I mean, today would be a great day for it. 73, our dew point sitting at 37, and a dew point of 37 means the air is very dry, which means it's extremely comfortable. 68 in Roxborough, 69 South Hill, 71 in Southern Pines, and 72 in Goldsboro. So feeling wonderful out there, closer to the Triangle. 69 in Garner, 72 in Cary, and 73 down in Fuquay-Varina. So here's a look at the change. The change has already begun early this morning. We had winds coming out of the north, and of course, northerly winds are highlighted in blue to show you that, yeah, this is some cooler air coming in. Our wind is now coming out of the east and beginning to warm up, of course. We've made it into the 70s. And here's what happens as we get through tonight and early tomorrow. Watch how the arrows start to turn red as that air starts to come out of the south during the day tomorrow. Look at that. There it goes. It all turns red. So that's when we start the warm up. We're looking today, of course, at a very comfortable 78 in Raleigh and Durham and 81 in Fayetteville. But that muggy meter, it still feels wonderful. I mean, it's down at 37. That's rare even for this time of year. But it jumps up to comfy tomorrow and then tolerable for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. We do see a really nice drop again, though, over the weekend. We're going to see cooler temperatures and a nice drop in humidity. So it's just kind of a quick warm up for us. This high pressure system is the culprit. High pressure systems rotate clockwise. So as that high moves eastward, it's pulling up the warmth from the south. So 84 tomorrow, 90 on Wednesday, and then 89 on Thursday. Once the cold front comes through on Friday, we cool back down again. So 76 is our normal high. We hit 90 Wednesday, but we're back into the 70s for Saturday and Sunday. It looks like it's going to be a wonderful weekend to be outside. But 90 for Wednesday will tie the previous record in Raleigh, and then same thing in Fayetteville, 92, and the previous record 92. So we can tie record highs in most places for Wednesday. Tomorrow, the Canes have game 5. It's going to be decent to get out and tailgate. A 6 o'clock temperature, 80 degrees, not bad. And coming out of the game, close to around 70. It should be nice and dry and beautiful. Tomorrow begins homestand for a lot of our baseball teams. The Durham Bulls have a day game tomorrow at 11 o'clock. And then during the evening, temperatures will be in the upper 70s to low 80s for the rest of the games. Now, this is a really neat photo that was sent in by Martina Renault from Cameron. It's wave clouds. We see wave clouds when we see the top of the cloud deck with winds stronger than the winds down below. And it scoops up the clouds and makes this wave pattern. It's really neat. Chris Michaels has an article about that on WRAL.com. Go check it out, or go to WRAL.com/report it and send us your photos. Okay, once we hit the 90 to 89, it feels comfortable for the weekend. We are proud sponsors of the Race for the Cure, and the temperatures look great for that. We do have some rain in the forecast, so Thursday and Friday. I'll walk you through that in just a few minutes.
Well, good to know the 90s are not extended. That will go back down and enjoy spring weather again.
Yeah.
But hello, summer.
Yeah.
Elizabeth, thank you. Vacation planning help. It turns out artificial intelligence could help you plan your next getaway. Today on WRAL News at 4, the impact this could have on the industry and the people who work in it.
A violent 24 hours. 3 shootings and fights happened over the weekend in Fayetteville, one of them at a popular festival. Today on WRAL News at 5, what police are doing to crack down on this from happening in that city. And buy now, pay later. We're used to seeing that for big ticket items, but next at noon, find out how many people are using the loans to pay for essentials like groceries.
And talk about a price hike. The item that Chinese e-commerce giant Shein marked up 377% to account for tariffs.
Happening right now in the WRAL Live Center, we have an update to a story that we brought you this morning. The Washington Commanders will have a new home in a couple of years. Kind of. They're returning to the site of their former home, RFK Stadium. They posted this, the Washington Commanders posted this to X, saying, let's bring this franchise back to D.C. The team and Washington, D.C. have agreed to a deal. It's a nearly $4 billion project. The team played for 3 decades before moving to a new stadium in suburban Maryland. They hope to have the new stadium built by 2030, with groundbreaking expected next year.
DHL Shipping announced today it is ready to restart global shipments to U.S. consumers. Earlier this month, the company suspended shipments worth more than $800. DHL cited an increase in red tape and confusion surrounding tariffs. A statement released today says the company has had constructive dialogue with U.S. Customs that allows it to resume lower value shipments.
China's e-commerce giant Shein has hiked prices as much as 377% in response to U.S. tariffs. Bloomberg News says the price hikes came Friday across a variety of goods. The report says the average price for the top 100 products in beauty and health jumped 51%. Now, the 377% jump in price was on a 10-piece set of kitchen towels. Shein is known for its fashion offerings. Prices on women's clothing bumped up by about 8%. A 25% tariff on pharmaceutical imports would raise drug costs by nearly $51 billion a year. That's according to a report commissioned by the industry's trade group. If companies decide to pass on the higher costs to consumers, it could boost drug prices by as much as 13%. The U.S. imported more than $200 billion in pharmaceutical products in 2023, with nearly 3/4 coming from Europe.
More people are using buy now, pay later plans to buy groceries and other essentials. That's according to data from LendingTree. Its recent survey found 25% of the people that had used a buy now, pay later loan used it to buy food. That was up from 14% a year ago. The survey also found 41% of people had made a late payment on a buy now, pay later loan, up from 34% last year. LendingTree says consumers are looking for ways to stretch their budgets and doesn't expect the numbers to improve in the short term.
The early bird gets the check. The Wall Street Journal reports more Americans are claiming Social Security benefits early. Pending claims for retirement and survivor benefits were $80,000 higher in March than a year before. The report says people are worried about the solvency of the program and possible changes to eligibility. Experts point out that claiming benefits at the minimum age of 62 reduces the amount available to you over a lifetime.
Call for answers. Town leaders in Zebulon prepare to field tough questions tonight. How you can be part of this forum. And the day after, new information about a deadly shooting at Elizabeth City State University. What we have learned in the last few hours about the campus this noon hour. And here, have a look at your NC Education winning lottery numbers. We'll be right back.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
Class is back in session today at Elizabeth City State University after a shooting this weekend.
Here's the latest information out of the school in the northeast corner of our state. Security is heightened there today, and officials say the school is not under any threat or lockdown order.
Amy Kiley reports students were celebrating an annual event when the shooting happened.
I heard the gunshots through my window and through the walls.
One person is dead and 6 are injured after a shooting at a historically black university on the North Carolina coast yesterday.
It was scary for real. Like, I was over there talking to one of my friends and just seeing a lot of people running.
Elizabeth City State University says the person who died was a 24-year-old man who was not a student. But it says 3 of the gunshot victims attend the school, along with 2 others hurt in the commotion.
Just praying for them, praying for their families.
The school says none of the injuries are life-threatening. It says the shooting took place at the center of campus in the early morning.
It finally clicked, this happened right outside my door.
The university says it had just finished a multi-day celebration involving both alumni and students called Viking Fest.
I had left right before all of this had transpired, but I had heard the gunshots from my dorm, and then I had got a phone call saying that some people had got shot.
The school is near the border with Virginia, and it's part of the North Carolina University system. It enrolls just over 2,000 students.
We're a family. It's a small school, small HBCU, so everybody knows everybody. It's a small family, so just make sure the family's okay.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
Governor Josh Stein spoke this morning at the North Carolina Sheriff's Association Spring Conference. He used the opportunity to highlight his public safety priorities and support for law enforcement. The conference started this morning in Wilmington.
A major leadership shakeup in Zebulon is the subject of a town hall meeting tonight. Both the town manager and the assistant town manager resigned recently. WRAL's Laura Levine brings us the backstory and what you can expect tonight.
People who live here in Zebulon are concerned and confused. They want to know exactly what's going on behind these closed doors at Zebulon Town Hall. And that's why today the mayor is expected to address some of those staffing concerns with an update, as well as discuss some current events. So this is the first town hall since the town manager abruptly resigned, saying the handling of a serious personnel matter was unethical and inappropriate. 4 days later, the assistant town manager, Kellyanne Williams, also resigned. Both Todd and Williams were hired by the town late last year after longtime town manager Joe Moore resigned last June. Williams was the first to take on the role permanently in December. The town commissioners denied any wrongdoing, but confirmed that Williams was suspended prior to her resignation. So we still have little to no information regarding what exactly is the reason behind the sudden turnover with these key positions. Today, the community is expected to get some type of information, some answers with this town meeting happening from 5:30 to 7 p.m. at the Zebulon Community Center. Laura Levine, WRAL News in Zebulon.
State lawmakers return to Raleigh this week with plans for a flurry of activity. Later today, the State House is expected to set up votes on 24 bills. One is part of a new compromise over plans to invest the state pension plan in cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. Lawmakers also plan to debate bills on changing the rules for carrying concealed knives, as well as car seat requirements for newborns. You can find our preview of today's legislative action online at WRAL.com. Tomorrow, we expect a final decision on whether to keep fluoride in drinking water in Harnett County. This could also affect people in Holly Springs and Fuquay-Varina. This comes after health officials recommended to the County Board of Commissioners to keep it last week. Board of Health members spent 20 minutes watching a presentation on the benefits of water fluoridation. Members emphasized fluoride levels are closely monitored.
Our county-by-county coverage takes us to Wayne, Vance, and Sampson counties. First up in Wayne County, the Goldsboro Police Department invites people to a funeral service for a beloved K-9 officer. K-9 Lark died last month. His years of service with distinction will be honored in a service tomorrow morning. It begins at 9 a.m. at the First Responders Memorial over at the Wayne Community College campus.
Vance Granville Community College announced the president of the Federal Reserve Bank of Richmond will speak at the spring commencement. Tom Barkin has served in the role since 2018. The community is invited to hear his remarks. Commencement will be held at 6 p.m. on May 16th at the main campus in Henderson.
And in Sampson County, families are enjoying the latest addition to the Story Walk in Roseboro. The county added the childhood favorite, If You Give a Mouse a Cookie by Laura Numeroff. The Sampson County Public Library partners with the Parks and Rec Department for planning and upkeep of the Story Walk.
Plenty of pushback. We're days away from the Real ID deadline, and we aren't the only state seeing issues. How other states are addressing this problem.
Then, losing its color, why coral reefs around the world look white this year, and what it says about climate change. Take WRAL News with you on the go. Download the WRAL News app to stay up to date on breaking news and weather information. Scientists are noticing an alarming trend in the Earth's oceans. The International Coral Reef Initiative says 84% of Earth's coral reefs have been bleached. That means the algae that live on the coral and that the coral eat are leaving. The global bleaching follows the warmest year recorded on Earth, and as droughts are creating heat waves across the planet.
The heat waves are such that they're an extra couple degrees higher than normal. It's just enough to throw the biology of the corals out of balance.
Some scientists are calling the fading colors of coral one of the most visual examples of climate change. This is the fourth global bleaching since 1998.
Seeing natural beauty closer to home gets a little more expensive this week. Reservation fees at state campgrounds go up on Thursday. It's the first major fee increase for state park facilities since 2019. Now, this affects peak season entry fees at reservoirs, state rec areas, most camping rates, and some boat slip rentals as well. For a detailed look at the changes, you can go to ncparks.gov/fees. Plane tickets are getting cheaper as demand for domestic travel weakens. Airfares were down 5.3% in March from last year's prices. That's according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. That followed a 4% drop in February. Airlines were optimistic about travel demand coming into the year, but that was before the trade war led to market swings and economic uncertainty. Now many carriers have dropped their financial guidance, saying the economy is too hard to predict at the moment.
The deadline to have a real ID to travel on domestic flights is less than 2 weeks away. The idea has delay after delay for nearly 2 decades. Now the Trump administration has set a hard deadline for May 7th, and many states are pushing back. Kentucky has asked for a delay, saying only 40% of its residents have a real ID. In Maine, lawmakers want to opt out entirely. And New Jersey has launched an emergency program to get real IDs to people with emergencies or urgent travel plans within the next 14 days. 5 on Your Side has been tracking the DMV's handling of the real ID process here in North Carolina. About 50% of people in our state have a real ID. The state DMV has opened extended hours at more than 75% of its offices. It will also have walk-in hours this summer on Saturdays.
What starts the spark? Can heat cause lightning, or is it just an old wives' tale? You get your answer when we ask the meteorologist.
Recall on a breakfast staple. Why this apple juice sold here in the Triangle is being recalled, and what you need to look for on your bottles at home.
Huge college parties are taking over a rural field. Nearby neighbors are frustrated and exhausted.
They claim law enforcement isn't doing anything to stop this. It's the focus of a WRAL investigation that airs tonight at 6. Sarah Kruger has a preview.
These parties are happening miles from campus here, all the way in northern Durham County. You pass beautiful farmland and animals, and then unexpectedly, a field is turning into Party Central.
To me, it's unconscionable. If I was a landowner and I lived out here and I had neighbors like this, I just don't understand why you would continue to do this and allow this. And I guess it's just for money, for profit.
The concern is ultimately that he's making a profit at the expense and danger and welfare of young college students. And I can't think of anything personally immoral, unethical, and really tragic than that situation.
And look at the photos they've taken. Huge crowds, tons of alcohol. After getting nowhere with other avenues, neighbors turn to us for help. Tonight at 6, WRAL investigates the unpermitted parties, what actions the county is and is not exploring, and what the property owner has to say. Sarah Kruger, WRAL News in Durham.
Saturday's storms, while scattered, put on a show. Check out this video from viewer Will Jones in Smithfield. Lightning within the storm cloud lit up the evening sky. Heat lightning, right? Not so much. Meteorologist Chris Michaels explains what this phenomenon really is in today's Ask the Meteorologist.
And yeah, as a kid, always called it heat lightning, right? But the more you study it, the more you find out that lightning's not necessarily due to heat, but different electrical charges. But when we say heat lightning, this is what we mean. We're talking about a storm that's miles away from us, but especially this time of year and heading into the summer, these storms get really tall. We're talking 30 to 50,000 feet tall, so it allows you to see them from miles away. So, okay, you can see them, but you can't necessarily hear them. It's because light travels about 875,000 times faster than sound does. So when you do see the lightning and hear the thunder right after, count the seconds between the two and then divide by 5. That'll tell you how far away the storm actually is. And that's important this time of year because, as you very well may know, lightning can strike 10 to 12 miles away from a storm. So whether you're golfing or at the pool, something that's very important to know because North Carolina, unfortunately, ranks number 2 in the country in lightning casualties. So if you hear thunder, great time to get inside. And then after the storm passes, wait about 20 or 30 minutes. That way it's outside of that 10 to 12 mile radius. If you ever have any questions that you want us to dig deep into, you go to WRAL.com and search Ask the Meteorologist.
It's not the same thing, you know. And mainly because it would happen in the summer and it would be hot. So you'd think, oh, that's heat lightning, because then you don't really hear anything after it. But no such thing.
But then there was a lot of math to calculate.
Yeah, it's a lot of math.
For this hour of the day. Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center. No math needed to enjoy all that sunshine out there.
Nope, it's lovely out here. The best thing to remember about heat lightning is it's real. It's just that it's so far away that you can't hear it. So if you can't hear it, then you're pretty safe. If you can hear thunder, you're in danger of being struck by lightning. That's all you need to remember. And boy, like Chris said, I mean, we're number 2 with lightning-related deaths. So it's a serious thing around here. But you won't have to worry about it today, not until later in the week. Fayetteville, Raleigh, Apex, Chapel Hill, all looking pretty. Chapel Hill's courtesy of Top of the Hill Restaurant. Here's a look at the big picture. There's that high-pressure system there sitting over Virginia. We talked about that a few minutes ago. So I want to point out something different. There's a low-pressure system and a front that's moving into Minneapolis and the upper Midwest. And we had a story earlier in the newscast about the severe storms that are likely there. Look at this. It's a level 4 out of 5 risk for the upper Midwest, including the Minneapolis area, looking at the potential for a severe weather outbreak. It hasn't started yet, but it is likely to a little later on this afternoon. Well, that's all going to go north of us. High pressure is going to stay put here, and everything goes north of it. You can see that high moving up into New England. We get into a chance of rain on Thursday, but mainly Friday. That's when the cold front will come through, and then behind it, we're right back to the weather that we're seeing today. It'll be nice and dry. The air mass will be much less humid. We'll see sunshine and back into the 70s. So we've got some beautiful weather to enjoy over the weekend. So this high pressure system will act as a blocker, and like I said, send that up to the north. You can see that low there moving out of Minneapolis for today and tomorrow, and it just stays north. Eventually that cold front comes through, but it will block our potential for the same kind of severe weather that they're going to see up to the north. 40% chance of rain on Thursday, 50% chance on Friday, and the totals, look like 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch. There may be some areas where it's a little heavier. Notice Rocky Mount shows up at 1.5 inches and Goldsboro at almost 1 inch. There are just going to be some pockets, with any potential for thunderstorms where you have the chance for, some folks to see slightly more than others. We take a look at our 7-day forecast. 78 for today, feeling great. Looking at 84 tomorrow, 90 on Wednesday. Earlier we talked about the fact that 90 for Wednesday would tie a previous record. 92 Fayetteville also ties the record. And then we're back on the downswing. We're looking at mid-80s, mid to upper 80s Thursday and Friday with that chance of showers and storms. Best chance of those storms would be in the afternoon and evening. And then it is the Race for the Cure. We have been sponsors, proud sponsors of Race for the Cure for as long as I can remember. So in 20 plus years, I would say. The weather looks great for that. Temperatures in the morning should be fairly comfortable. The humidity will be dropping, and we'll see some sunshine Saturday and Sunday. It's another one of those weekends, that first weekend in May, where there's a lot of stuff happening, and the weather looks wonderful for it. So hopefully you'll get a chance to get out and enjoy.
Now, those are some easier numbers to digest right there as we see those.
Yes.
All right, put down the chips. Plenty of studies link your diet to your health. This one makes it very clear, and we'll have details on it when we come back.
I feel like you're talking to me, but it's hard to eat just once sometimes,
I want
right?
some pizza.
Okay, we're hungry.
Well, blue skies, calm waters right there. Lake Gaston. This is a live look from our WRAL live cam network, and temperatures all across the state pretty much around our viewing area. Low 70s to mid 70s. It is very comfortable. Low humidity out there as well. Just gorgeous. As we wrap things up for you, we have a look at a few of the headlines we're following for you today. Jury selection is underway in the murder trial of Christopher McCullough. He's charged with beating his mother to death and injuring his father in North Raleigh in 2023. New court documents show McCullough filed a defense called voluntary intoxication. That means he's admitting that he drank during the incident. You can stick with us on air and online for coverage of this trial.
The SPCA of Wake County is closing for a few days. The adoption center says it will close from April 27th to May 2nd because of an outbreak of parvo. The SPCA is still accepting online adoption surveys. The center says people who recently adopted a pet exposed to the litter have been notified, and all exposed dogs are being monitored and quarantined.
New this noon, the last UNC student to be stripped of legal status earlier this month has had it restored. At least 10 students at universities in the Triangle were affected by this, not without notice, when the federal government revoked visas from many international students. UNC Chancellor Lee Roberts confirmed Friday the other 5 of the 6 students affected at the college regained their status as well.
A recall alert for you today. Tens of thousands of bottles of apple juice sold in North Carolina are being recalled. Martinelli's has recalled more than 7,000 cases of its apple juice. Here's what the bottle looks like. According to the FDA, the affected cases might be contaminated with a poisonous substance produced by certain molds, which are often found in rotting apples. These infected bottles were sold in 28 states, including North Carolina. The affected apple juice was sold in glass bottles with a best buy date of December 5th, 2026.
New research involving more than 240,000 people find every bite of ultra-processed foods you eat increases your risk of a premature death from any cause. Ultra-processed foods are considered to have little to no whole foods and are chemically manipulated and often contain synthetic additives. According to one expert, there's no reason to believe humans can adapt to these products, meaning the body may become impaired or damaged depending on its vulnerability to the amount of ultra-processed foods that you eat.
Wow, so every bite, maybe reduce the number of bites, but it's just hard to give it up all together. You know what I'm saying?
I might drop any minute. When you put it that way, I mean, think about it. Every bite.
I want to live a long
affects.
life, but you also want a happy life, and sometimes eating some of those foods makes people happy. Yeah. The last weekend of April at a ski resort in Alaska had a different take on the slopes.
Here you go, Renee.
This was a 2025 Slush Cup at the Alyeska Resort. So skiers made a run down the slope and ended in a splash. Competitors were judged on the height of the jump, how far they traveled, style, tricks, and costumes. Ski resorts across Alaska end their ski seasons with their own versions of this water event. Okay, let's see the finish on this one.
Here we go. Oh, right out of the pool.
He stayed upright.
That's the winner.
Okay.
That's the winner. I could see you doing that.
Ooh, the belly flop. Ouch.
All right, pet of the day time comes to us from Safe Haven for Cats. This is Jimmy Neutron.
Aww.
Yeah, he's a 3-year-old medium-haired tabby. Jimmy Neutron came from a county shelter and has quickly become a staff favorite at Safe Haven. If you can give him a forever home, you can check in with Safe Haven at the number on your screen. Vacation planning help. Turns out artificial intelligence could help you plan your next getaway. Today on WRAL News at 4, the impact this could have on the industry and the people who work in it.
No need to get away when you have a beautiful day like today, right? As we take a look at the peak of good living in Apex. NBC News Daily is next on WRAL. Your next local news update in 30 minutes.
Oh, get out there and enjoy this. Yeah, get breaking news updates anytime with our WRAL News app as well. Have a great day.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.